What's wrong with you people?
Welcome to Not Another Baptist Podcast. And at Southwestern Seminary, you will find a campus community that is committed to help you live your calling in ministry. And at Preview Day on April 12th, you'll be able to experience that campus community for yourself. Come and visit the campus, meet your professors, and explore what training for ministry could look like at Southwestern. Sign up to attend for free at swbts.edu/NAB, N-A-B. Kyle, several years ago, I don't remember when it was, but there was a rant from a college football coach of the Oklahoma State University.
The Cowboys, OSU Cowboys.
Yeah,
yes.
Gundy, I think it was.
Mike Gundy, yep.
Anyway, he had a little bit of a rant. They were getting on to his players, blah, 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 blah. He didn't like it. So he went to their defense. He says, "Come after me. I'm a man.
I'm a man.
I'm 40. And I've been waiting for years to post that. In fact, I had it scheduled on my calendar to post the 40-year-old rant from Mike Gundy or whatever his name is. So yes, today is my 40th birthday.
Yep.
1 year closer to death. I'm excited about that. Time to get a new tattoo, a new Corvette, whatever it is. Actually, my loan officer would probably appreciate it if I don't go out and open a new line of credit right now. So we'll wait until the closing. But anyway, happy birthday to me. Kyle, what's it like? What's it like on this side of that midlife crisis?
I'm tired and things hurt. I'm not sure that's any different from, say, mid-30s, but
yeah, that's what I was going to say.
So I've noticed in the last couple of years that it wasn't just when I hit 40. I would say about 37, 38. Like when I go out and I do something like, whether that's, starting a new workout program or like my daughter and I really got into tennis this fall. Like it's taking my body longer to recover. Right. So like even in my early 30s, like I go out and play 3 softball games. I wake up the next, and I'd be a little sore the next day, but it wasn't a big deal. And now it's like 2 days later, it's like, oh, okay, this is taking a little bit longer for this body to recover.
Yeah. Yeah. So we had a major cold snap here. I think 89 straight hours below freezing.
Yeah, we had it too.
It wasn't nearly a record, but it was cold, bitter cold. And it was wild because we went from like 75 degrees one day to like 4 degrees wind chill or something the next day or that next morning. So it was a very quick and brutal cold snap. And so we're in the process of buying this house. We close next week, whatever it is. And I had this like recurring nightmare those nights where I woke up with the most vivid dream that there's like 6 feet of water in that home because every pipe had busted or something like that.
Oh,
and that, like, I'm still honestly afraid of that, like, because they've already moved, all of that kind of stuff. So that has been there. And so like, I'm so tempted to be like, hey, realtor, can you go just look at it, make sure that there's not like standing water? Is this like a vision from God? No. Anyway, it woke me up so much so that I couldn't go to sleep. And so I moved to the couch. So I'm not like tossing and turning, all of that kind of stuff, waking up Rebecca. So I moved to the couch both of those nights. And I'll tell you this. This might shock a few. I've had to sleep on the couch a couple of times in our marriage. No, but it didn't bother me before. I could sleep anywhere, anyhow. Did not matter. I might have a crick in the neck, but that's about it.
Yeah.
But I felt it. I felt it good.
I've noticed that traveling, sleeping in hotels and it's not as easy as it once was.
Yeah.
We'll just say that. And from what I've been told, it does not get better.
Yeah. So I can still go to sleep anyhow, anywhere, any way. But I just pay for it dearly the rest of that day. So a couple of things. One, I want to tell you something cool and maybe just an idea. It's maybe a terrible idea. I don't know, but it worked. And it was something I tried kind of on the fly. Last weekend, I preached in Cuero, Texas, home of the Fighting Gobblers.
All
Cuero
right.
is known for turkeys, and thankfully, with a name like that, they're actually a really good football team. I think even had a few years of a consecutive state championship run, things like that. They're always
Okay.
good, that kind of deal, which you better be if you're called the Gobblers. I mean,
Yeah.
unlike my high school for 2 years, that was the Grand Prairie Gophers. We never even sniffed the playoffs, and then I transferred to South, and we were the Warriors, and we were always in the playoffs. Anyway, on the last night, I was doing a Disciple Now there, and the last night I did a thing that just kind of came to me. I'm sure it's a thing, and there might even be a name for it. I don't know. But I did something that I thought I would share, maybe particularly with young people. If the youth pastors are listening in, I like prefaced my sermon with like a GPS illustration of, GPS that tells you when you're going to get there, how you're going to get there, that kind of deal. And I was like, your estimated time of arrival for the end of this sermon is going to be 18 minutes. We're going to take turns through this scripture, whatever. But when we get there at the end, here are the ways you can respond. And so on the front end, I gave like these ways that they could be thinking through how they're going to respond to this particular sermon. Maybe
Okay.
they have never accepted Jesus, don't really know him, they've heard about him, da 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 da. Well, I'm going to be walking through who he is, what he's done, how you respond to that. Here's how you could respond in that way. Maybe you have accepted Jesus, but you've never been baptized. And so I gave each of kind of these responses that would come at the end of the service, and I don't know that that's like obviously the reason that we had this response, but it worked. And at the end of the service, I reiterated those response options again, and almost immediately, we had several students come forward for salvation or surrendering to ministry. We also had a number of students that came and like surrounded them with prayer, and then adults. And so the front steps there were filled with students and adults just
Yeah.
doing
That's
business
awesome.
with the Lord. And so just a thought, maybe occasionally, maybe not your every week thing, but occasionally tell people how they can respond to your message before you even dive in,
Yeah. Yeah,
and
that's good.
kind of let them know where you're going. So just a free pro tip that you didn't ask for. Kyle, another thing to note is there is nothing happening in 2024 that would cause any kind of consternation online
No,
or in
none
our
whatsoever.
churches or anything like that.
No, absolutely
There's no
not.
major meeting happening
Should be
in
smooth
June.
sailing. Yeah.
No major meeting happening in June. No drama there. There's certainly no major election or anything like that. I mean, this is like a smooth,
Yeah.
easy, no drama year, right?
Well, not quite.
Okay, so what do we have kind of facing us in 2024?
Yeah, so we have what is potentially a um tense Southern Baptist Convention annual meeting. Now to be fair, we've said that for the last, well, let's see. I believe this will be my seventh meeting, and I think we've said that every year going in. Hey, this one could be really tense. Some years have been more tense than others, but it's almost never as bad as the prognostications leading up to it. Um, but I mean, we still, right. We are faced with a lot of tension there over several issues. We're not going to dive into all those. If you're listening to this, you probably are aware of some of those issues. But yeah, there's a lot of tension leading up to that, and let's be honest, a lot of chatter online and social media that is a lot of it's just flat not helpful. Can we
Yep.
say that?
Yep.
So, and then yes, there is, apparently a presidential election that's happening in November that your feed is probably already being dominated by, and again, there's a lot of tensions around that,
Uh-huh.
and so again, lots of stuff on social media that's probably not helpful. And so here's what when Matt and I were talking about how what we're going to talk about today, I just said, let's just talk about helpful and unhelpful ways to handle all of this.
Yeah.
And so I'll just say, like, so far this year, I just decided, like, in 2024, there's enough negativity out there that I don't need to subject myself to that on a voluntary basis any more than what I'm already being bombarded with. So I've actually left some social media groups that did not stir up in me the fruit of the spirit. I'll just put it that way. All right, like they did not fill me with love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. And so I finally just decided, look, if these things are not making me more like Jesus, if they're not helping me focus on whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is righteous, all those things in Philippians, Philippians 4, I believe, like those things, like, look, I don't need that in my life. So I left some groups, and to be completely honest, my I think my day is better because I'm not even tempted, like, to go look and see, like, what folks are arguing about there. So here's what we're going to talk about today. How can you look at some of these issues that are important and yet do so in a way that does not bring anger and bitterness into your life, but helps you be an encouragement to others in the middle of tensions?
Yeah. Good luck. Those are my two words. Look, Pastor, whoever's listening to this, you're behind the eight ball this year.
Mhm.
You have obviously a very contentious SBC thing coming our way. We've touched on the fact that, we always say that. It certainly seems like that in the months leading up to it, but we already know some of the lines that are there, and some of the things that are coming. The cooperation group that I'm on is going to have their recommendations. There's the law amendment that will be voted on, and there's just a number of, shall we say, like, minefields
Yeah.
that we're going to have to navigate very carefully. And your people that go to your church may not know all of the ins and outs and some of the information that and may only get it from other sources. And those
Yeah.
sources may not be, the uh, Southern Baptist Texan and Baptist Press and some of the different
Yeah.
Baptist publications. They might see it on Fox News, Washington Post, or any such thing like that. And so you're going to have to navigate a lot of misinformation. You're going to have to navigate a lot of you'll have people that probably fall on different sides of those
Yeah.
categories and so forth in your church. Certainly, as we navigate that as a convention and do some of those things, but you're going to still have to navigate that, and then obviously the election. And
Yeah.
so I think that is going to require, one, knowing what's going on. You do need to take the time to be informed. There are, great groups for that on, Facebook and things like that, the Baptist Review, stuff like that, where you can dig into some of those different podcasts. Obviously, the Baptist Press folks have theirs that dig into those things, or SBC This Week, that kind of a deal. We don't generally deal with a whole lot of SBC stuff, at least on our podcast. We'll likely from time to time make you aware of certain things,
Yeah.
but take some time to be knowledgeable of what's going on. But be careful and use wisdom as you share those things, but keep your congregation informed, and be on the front end of that, so you're not responding to all of the misinformation. That'll
Yeah.
come, but if your people know as they're going and what you're going into and some of that, and walk them through it, you have a much better shot.
Yeah.
Same thing goes obviously with the election that's coming too. But for yourself personally, when you do that, you also have to be careful, as Kyle talked about, for your own soul. And I think while you do some of those things in places like the Baptist Review, some of those different options, I think you were in some other ones, pastor networks and stuff like that. I know the SBTC has, like, the Young Pastors Network,
Yeah.
that the age just keeps going up for that, because nobody wants to be the old
Yeah.
pastor.
Nobody wants to get kicked out of the Young Pastors Network.
Yeah,
That's
and, but so, be careful there. Obviously, you need to be informed, but just check yourself, regularly. Am I spending too much time here? Is this helping me walk with the Lord? I do need to know, how much time do I need to spend, learning and some of that. Like, just just be cognizant and aware as you go of the intake that you are receiving
Yeah.
and giving, how you're responding to things.
And look, generally speaking, so social media can be a great place to have discussions. And if you're in a group with people that you know, or at least have interacted with somewhat, and you have somewhat of a rapport there, that some of those places can be good to have discussions. But generally speaking, social media is not a great place to have those discussions, right? And I guarantee that whatever you think about stuff that's happening in the SBC, stuff that's happening in our nation, 280 characters on X is probably not the best place to have that conversation, because Matt, you and I have both been here before. You're going to not say something as clearly as you thought you did, and it I don't know. It can be so easily misinterpreted and twisted, and then you're launched into a Bart Barber length thread trying to explain. Here's what I actually meant.
Yeah, and that's one reason, on the the local association side, that is super helpful, because one, you're going to be around guys and gals that are, certainly by proximity. Your churches are near one another. You're in similar situations usually. I know with Colin Baptist, that I'm rolling out of and into Dallas Baptist, that has like a million churches. But Colin, at 126, we have a few that are large mega churches, but a lot of them are your average 100 to 200, 300 church attendance type place. And a lot of guys, wide variety of beliefs and where they land on certain things. And you can have those conversations face to face when you get together with those brothers and sisters in your own association. And there's just so much more value when you can do that face to face, over a cup of coffee, over lunch, over a fellowship meal, over one of your executive board meetings, whatever it might be.
Yep.
So take advantage of that. I've also worked with several AMSs, really quite literally from coast to coast, with Travis Kearns all the way on the East Coast to Victor C, because I'm not going to say his name incorrectly on the podcast, all the way on the West Coast, and some here in Texas, and kind of throughout the country. You're involved there too with the virtual association that we're about to launch on Facebook. And that's just going to be like an online forum for encouragement, a place to come and share sermon roundups, what you preached, or if you're a church member, what you heard, what you learned, what landed well, what didn't land well. If maybe it's your first sermon, you can get some feedback. If something really stuck out, you want some help with the text, things like that, where kind of an online version, not a replacement to the local association by any means, and not to take away from other groups, but just a specific kind of local association, but on Facebook and across the country, Southern Baptist, that kind of deal, that can get together and share what's happening in their churches when they have prayer needs and so forth, to be able to be prayed for by your fellow brothers, to have a place to just celebrate. That's something that's sometimes hard to do. You can't get up on Twitter or Facebook and say, hey, I just preached a home run sermon. That's usually not a normal thing to do. And it would still probably be weird here, but hey, this really went well. Kind of like I shared with that idea of starting a sermon with your response thing, like, hey, this really worked. Why don't you think through this in your context, that kind of a deal. But just collaborate, work together, cooperate, encourage one another. And that's going to be at facebook.com this gets kind of weird, /groups /the virtual association. We'll put a link in the show notes if you're interested in kind of an online place for lay leaders, church leaders, pastors, that kind of stuff, just to be encouraged and encourage one another. But yeah,
all the best things from your local association, no business meetings.
No business meetings. So Anyway, you can take the man out of the DOM role, but not the DOM role out of the man. I don't know. Anyway, so got some great guys that are helping us with that, and so you're certainly invited if that's something that would interest you and encourage you. But yeah, the next year is not going to be easy, and
Yeah.
no year is. Like, maybe we thought 2000 or whatever was going to be easy. I know you posted just the other day like a sermon spread. You had your Bible out and all that kind of stuff, like a
Oh,
picture.
2020. Yeah.
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 And I remember like the Vision 2020 posts we were
Yep.
rolling out, like
Yep.
all of this kind of stuff. And then before we knew it, worst year ever.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
yeah, because it started out, I mean, it was just normal, right? I mean, and it's funny to look back on that in like January and February, but because the rest of the year just got so weird. And it's easy to forget that, I mean, the first couple of months were pretty normal.
Yeah.
Like we did normal things, and then all of a sudden we got this, atom bomb dropped on us.
Yeah. 2 weeks to crush the spread ended up a decade in New Mexico, but I think they're still closed down. No, but anyway, it was tough. It
Yeah.
every year is, man. You're going to have people that die,
Yeah.
key leaders leave, you'll be ghosted, all of that kind of stuff
Yep.
happens.
Every year. Yep.
But this year you have that and a very contentious annual meeting, and
Yeah.
every
Well,
4 years is a gift that keeps on giving in America with an election cycle.
and here's, I'm reminded of something that I've told my kids over and over again. You have no control over how someone else reacts, right? That's true in your church. I mean, that's certainly true online. Like you cannot, you have no control over that. You cannot control what someone else posts, how they react. What you can control is how you react to it, right? Matt, I know you're a big fan of the mute button on Twitter or
Oh,
X or
dude.
whatever that is.
I like all I see right now is a Houston Astro post. I actually muted them yesterday. No, I turned off notifications from them because they were posting like every 5 minutes.
So listen, right? If you're on social media, listen, the unfollow button on Facebook, the mute button on X, is fantastic, right? Use it. I mean, if there's an account that is just driving you nuts, man, don't be afraid to mute it. Unless it's like your chairman of deacons, and then maybe maybe that's a conversation you have.
Well,
But
and the other thing, Facebook has a neat thing is you can snooze somebody for a certain amount of time.
yeah,
So
yeah,
during the World Series, I used that a lot, and suddenly found all
probably
of my
snoozed
Texas
me.
Ranger
Yeah,
fans a month later. And you just got to do whatever is going to look. Social media and the algorithm that you see, we like to
yeah,
post, and complain about I'm tired of this and this and this, but it's really curated largely at your fault. There are
yeah,
some things that are going to you're going to see whether you like it or not.
yeah.
But a lot of times it's what you click on. And, when I click on a number of posts about whatever it might be, that's suddenly what I start seeing a lot more of. And if that's something that I don't like, I have nobody to blame
Yeah.
but myself.
Yeah, and the X, so X has kind of two groups, right? There's the for you, which is their cultivated stuff, or there's the following, which is people that you have followed. Um, Typically, generally speaking, the following you have a lot more control over what you see. The for you, like you said, some of that is self-imposed, some of it's based on sponsorships and who's sponsored posts and stuff like that. But yeah, so if you want kind of just the stuff that you're interested in, click on that following tab at the top of X, and that will cleanse a little bit.
Yeah. And I use lists as well.
Oh,
And
okay.
I've got a few lists, one when it's like baseball season, I've got like baseball followers or whatever, or follows that I don't really
Yeah, that's
follow,
good.
and one in my regular feed, but I go and look at. I've got one it's like entity and entity leaders. It's every SBC, seminary, org, WMU, NAM, all of those guys, all of their presidents and leaders are kind of key figures, whatever it might be, Baptist Press, that kind of a thing. When I want to know exactly the latest stuff from all of them, I can click that. And then I see it all right in order of everything that they posted. So it's the most recent stuff that I get from them. So that's helpful. And then, yeah, that for you, again, that's going to largely be curated to you. I know that I have never in my life clicked on anything for what is it, CBD or whatever that
Yeah.
stuff is. But there's like I've been in the vortex of some kind of Cheech and Chong thing, and I've never clicked on anything or said anything about it or sent even a gift with Cheech and Chong in it. But for some reason, they're shoving that my direction.
Yeah.
And other weird stuff that you can't control.
Yeah.
But if you stick with your tab, where it's for you, the people that, or not for you, the people you're following.
Yeah.
You follow the right people, all of that kind of stuff. And if you've muted the right people that you may need to follow or whatever and want to go see, that's a great spot.
Yeah. And here's the bottom line. You can control how you react. You can control the things that you post. And so you can choose either to add to the noise, or you can choose to be an encouragement.
Yep.
And again, let me just reiterate with this. Philippians 4:8. Finally, brothers and sisters, whatever is true, whatever is honorable, whatever is just, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is commendable, if there is any moral excellence, and if there is anything praiseworthy, dwell on these things. If you do that, if you post things that are in line with that, you're going to be a ray of light in the middle of a hodgepodge of ridiculousness.
Do you know what checks all of those boxes?
Bible verses?
Well, yeah.
Texas Rangers?
No. What checks all of those boxes is coffee that is dark as night and is bold as the gospel we declare. So until next time, have a great day and good luck this year, Pastor. You're going to need it.
What's wrong with you people?